60 years. That is how long England have been waiting. One World Cup title, one final, one tournament. And it happened on home soil in 1966, where they never had to travel, never had to survive a hostile crowd, never had to win on neutral ground. Here is what most fans refuse to say out loud. England have not just been unlucky, they have been found out every single time. But World Cup 2026 is different, the squad is different, the structure is different, and for the first time in a generation, the numbers are actually making a case. 3 arguments, 3 pressure points, 1 verdict, and point 3 is the one that is going to split this room. England arrive at World Cup 2026 ranked 4th in the world by FIFA, behind France, Spain, and defending champions Argentina. They are in Group L alongside Croatia, Ghana, and Panama. On paper, it is a manageable group. Croatia are aging, Ghana and Panama are not expected to threaten. England should qualify comfortably. But here is what the numbers actually say. England have reached just 1 World Cup semi-final since 1990. 1 semi-final in 36 years. They went out at the final of Euro 2020 on penalties and the final of Euro 2024 in normal time. 2 consecutive European Championship finals and nothing to show for either of them. The pattern is documented. The question is whether 2026 breaks it. Because this time, England are not just hoping. They have a squad that, on pure talent, is arguably the strongest they have assembled since the golden generation of the early 2000s. The argument is not whether England can win it. The argument is whether they finally will. Stay with me, because this is where it gets complicated. England's 2026 squad has genuine quality across every line of the pitch in a way no previous England generation can honestly claim. In the 2024-25 Premier League season, England qualified players occupied starting positions at the title-challenging clubs. The attacking options available to the England manager represent a selection problem most international coaches would welcome. Going into 2026, England carry firepower in wide positions, creativity in midfield, and a goalkeeping position that is no longer a question mark. The squad does not have one world-class player holding 11 passengers together, it has layers. Compare this to 2002, when England's famous golden generation, Beckham, Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard, Owen, were genuinely world-class names, and they went out in the quarter-finals to Brazil. The squad was celebrated, the tournament result was failure. The difference in 2026 is tactical balance. That 2002 squad had an overcrowded midfield with no solution. This squad does not carry that same structural flaw. Now, the counter-argument writes itself. England have had strong squads before. The 2018 squad reached the semi-finals with considerably less talent on paper. Squad quality alone has never been the problem. Execution under pressure has been. That argument is fair, but it ignores one thing. In 2026, with 48 teams and a round of 32, England need to win 8 matches to lift the trophy, the first time in World Cup history any champion has needed to do that. That extra match is not an obstacle for England, it is actually an advantage for a squad with depth. Rotation matters now more than ever, and England, finally, have the players to rotate. But squad depth only tells half the story, because there is a second argument, and it is the one that genuinely divides the analysts. Stop. Before I make point 2, I need to address something. Everyone who talks about England focuses on the players, the names, the potential. Here is what everyone is missing. The real question about England in 2026 is not whether they have the talent. It is whether they can survive the pressure of a knockout game that goes to extra time or penalties. Because here is where the argument completely flips. England's penalty shootout record at major tournaments has been historically catastrophic, but framing it as a mentality problem is the lazy analysis, and it is wrong. England lost on penalties at the 1990 World Cup semi-final against West Germany, the Euro 1996 semi-final against Germany, the 2006 World Cup quarter-final against Portugal, and the Euro 2020 final against Italy. The popular narrative says England players cannot handle the pressure. Here is what the numbers actually say. England's penalty preparation historically has been inadequate. The training methodology, the practice volume, the psychological preparation. These were not taken seriously at the elite level until relatively recently. The 2018 World Cup was the first major tournament where England visibly changed their approach to set pieces and dead ball situations. They practiced, they prepared. The infrastructure shift was visible. Germany, by contrast, have historically treated penalty preparation as a technical discipline, not a faith exercise. The mindset difference showed in their record, a record that was near perfect for decades. The strongest argument against England here is Euro 2020. That final at Wembley, in front of their own crowd, with every psychological advantage available, England still lost on penalties to Italy. The infrastructure argument has limits. When the moment arrives, the preparation has not always held. That is a legitimate challenge. But the 2020 final was also decided by 3 young players being sent out in the most high-pressure situation imaginable without adequate experience of that stage. The issue was squad management under pressure, not the preparation system failing. What has changed since is game time for those players. Experience cannot be manufactured, but by 2026, England's key contributors have more of it than any previous generation at this point in their careers. I have saved the hardest argument for last, and you will not like what the numbers say. Here is the part that nobody is talking about. England's biggest threat in 2026 is not Croatia in the group. It is not Argentina in a potential quarter-final. It is not France, not Spain. It is Group L itself. Wait. Look at this group properly. England, Croatia, Ghana, Panama. Most analysts see a straightforward passage. 3 wins, top of the group, into the round of 32. Here is the number that changed my entire view of this team. England do not perform well when expectation is at its highest. Their worst tournament performances have come when they were considered the dominant team in their group. In 2014, England finished bottom of a group containing Italy, Uruguay and Costa Rica, eliminated in the group stage. The expectation was that England, with their squad quality, would navigate the group. They did not. Historically, England's best tournament performances, 1990, 2018, came in tournaments where they were not the overwhelming favourite. When the pressure of expectation is at its highest, the execution has collapsed. In 2026, the entire football world is looking at Group L and writing England through automatically. That narrative is the most dangerous thing in their tournament. Croatia are in that group. Croatia, who reached the World Cup final in 2018, the semi-final in 2022, and have players with more knockout tournament experience than anyone else in that group. Luka Modric may be aging, but Croatia under pressure remain a structurally intelligent team. They will not be passive. The counter here is that England are simply better, on individual quality, on FIFA ranking, 4th in the world, on squad depth. The expectation is not manufactured, it is warranted. And letting historical patterns paralyze the analysis is not fair to what this squad has actually built. That is not a weak argument, but it is the exact argument England fans have made in 2014, in 2010, in every tournament where the squad looked good enough on paper. The floor is open, and the evidence says this: England have the tools to win this World Cup. What they do not yet have is the evidence that they can win it when the world expects them to. That is the gap. That is the real question. Remember that question at the start? Does World Cup 2026 finally end the hurt? Here is where the 3 arguments land together. England in 2026 have their deepest squad in decades, with genuine rotation options for an 8-match tournament that rewards depth more than any World Cup in history. That is real. That is an advantage previous England generations did not have. England's penalty and pressure problem has a structural explanation, not just a mental one, and the preparation environment has measurably improved since 2018. That is not a guarantee, but it is progress. And England's biggest enemy in this tournament is the expectation trap. Group L is comfortable on paper. That is exactly when England historically struggle most. So here is the verdict. England are not favourites. France, Spain and Argentina all sit above them in the ranking for legitimate reasons. But England are, in my analysis, the most credible dark horse with a realistic pathway to the final. Not because of hope, because of depth, experience, and a squad that finally has the tools to win ugly when the pressure is at its highest. If they navigate Group L without complacency, if the knockout rounds do not produce a shootout in the quarter-final, if the manager trusts the squad depth and rotates intelligently, then 2026 is the most credible shot England have had since 1966. That is not sentiment, that is what the evidence builds toward. The hurt could end, but it will not end easily. The floor is open. England have the squad, they have the structure, they have the draw, but history says something different. Here is the question I want your answer to. Drop it in the comments. Is England's World Cup problem about mentality, or has it always been about squad management under pressure? Because those are two very different problems, and only one of them can actually be fixed.